Hi, I'm Judy from Fox Cities Quilt Company, and this is Sunday from the Sewing Room, where we give you tips, tricks, and a few tutorials to help you with your sewing and quilting projects. If you like our videos, please hit that subscribe button below and tell your friends. Today, I want to talk to you about top stitching. Bags are all the rage right now, and they're so fun to make. There are so many vendors out there with such great patterns, like Sally Tomatoes, So Hungry Hippie, Simply Classic, By Annie. The list goes on and on and on. And then they all have, a lot of them have zippers, but they all tell you to top stitch, especially on your handles, and around your zippers and all of those other things. So I'm going to show you, this is the Zippy Bag by Sally Tomato, and you can see the top stitching that I have on each side of this zipper, and then also around the handles. You can see it there. So I wanted to talk to you about what makes good top stitching. For me, you may have your own way of doing it, but I wanted to share what I found and to show you the different feet and needles that I use for top stitching. Okay, so I'm at my sewing machine, and the first thing I want to show you is a couple of feet that I use on my machine, depending on what product that I'm using, whether it be cork or faux leather or a faux vinyl. So this is my regular narrow foot, and as you can see, this is a 1/4 inch from the needle out to the end of the foot. Let me put the foot down, and it's just a 1/4 inch out to here. But what's great about this foot, and let me see if I can zoom in on it for you. What's great about this foot is the fact that it has an 1/8 inch line. There's one right there and one on the other side as well. And that helps me to top stitch. So I like to use this foot, especially with cork. And the reason I like it with cork is because cork is a little more slippery. And so this foot works just fine for that. The other foot that I have, and let me zoom back out for that, is this Teflon foot. Let me pull this one off, and I can put this one on. If I can get it centered. I'm sorry I'm doing this one-handed. Okay, so this is a Teflon foot. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's very slippery underneath there, and it allows vinyl and faux leather to just glide right underneath there. This does not have markings though, but I happen to know that from here and to the edge right here of this opening is an 1/8 of an inch because I've measured it. If you're unsure, you can always use a seam guide and mark your throat plate wherever the 1/8 of an inch is. But for our purposes right now, I am going to use this particular foot. And then the other thing that I want to show you is the needles that I use. And I'm sorry about for the jittery camera. I'm not a professional. And it's just me here. So I like to use a jeans denim needle in 9014, and I'm using 9014 today because I like it with the faux leather, or I like to use a top stitch needle. But as you can see, I have hardly any of my jeans or denim needles left for top stitching. You could also use a top stitch needle. Class A is my favorite brand of needles, but you can use any top stitch needle that you like. One of the other things that I do when I am going to top stitch is I practice. So I have a scrap piece of the fabric that I'm using. This is a faux ostrich leather by Simply Classic. And I always have scraps, or I cut myself a little square of scrap, and I practice my stitches on here to see what's going to look best. I just don't wing it because top stitching is kind of important. It is the stitching that most people see. The other thing that I do is I lengthen my stitches depending on the look I want. And also I happen to know that there are stitches in here that if you want that double top stitch, this will do that double top stitch for you if you like that heavier look, or you can just keep it simple with your regular straight stitch. The regular straight stitch is what I like because I'm not always the straightest stitcher, so I just use a simple straight stitch. Then what I do is I'm going to come to my sewing machine and I'm just going to stick my scrap piece right underneath my machine foot. And for this purpose, I'm going to up my stitch length probably to a 3.5. And the reason that I do that, I'm going to show you what a 2 looks like. Do you see how puckered and indented that looks? And then this is a 2.5, and then this is a 3. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. This is actually 3.5 millimeters in the length. And I'm going to show you what that looks like after we get it all stitched out. And I am stitching in a different color than the faux ostrich so that you could see the stitches. So that's pretty good. And I'm going to look on the back, and obviously I have that little loop back there. So I wanted to show you that. Well, I'm going to show you what a smaller stitch looks like so that you can see if you do it, depending on the material you're using, if you get your stitches too small, it just doesn't look good because it will indent into the fabric and it'll look a little pulled. So this is the 3.5, and then this is the 2.5. You can see it's just kind of buried in there. You can't really see your stitches. You really want your stitches to be sitting on top. Now, the other one I want to show you is that if you do that double stitch, and then I'm going to take this back up to something medium, and I am going to do this at the let's see, I have 3 millimeters. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. And don't forget, I have doubled my faux leather because I feel like that's what we're going to be stitching. All right, I hope you can see that. And this is the double stitch. And that one is pretty nice too. So I don't mind that. So this is the smaller stitch, the 2.5. I'm sorry, this is the 3, this is the 2.5, and this is the double stitch at 3. Now, if you're using fabric, obviously you can use your regular 2.5 millimeter if you're using regular cotton fabric. But if you're using vinyl, you're going to probably want to make sure that those stitches aren't quite as heavy. Because if you make a mistake, don't forget with vinyl, it tends to poke right through. And again, this is doubled with a denim needle, and that is the double stitching. So that's it, our little tutorial on top stitching. Always practice if you can. And then before you run it through, if you have a little leader piece that you can use to start it off so you don't have your little knots in the back like I do, you'll definitely want to do that. This is Judy from Fox Cities Quilt Company. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.